You're trying to give someone information, how do you do it? What I'm basically asking here is, how do you communicate? Seriously, do you email them? Do you call them? Probably not. We all text each other. It's our generation. Well, that's widely considered one of the biggest problems of our generation, because our go-to source of communication is texting. Well, today I'm going to persuade all of you why face-to-face communication is the most effective source of communication. The lack of face-to-face communication is causing people to be unable to carry conversations, but lucky for all of us, there's a simple solution to this problem, and our world can either be a better place or a worse one, depending on how we handle it. At very early ages, now that everyone's aware that what I'll be persuading you guys about, let's look deeper into the situation. At very early ages, we were all exposed to technology, and now even more so than ever, young children are practically being handed phones and tablets as they come out of the womb, it seems like. Well, this is the stem of the problem at hand. Well, after reading Jay Donovan's article on TechCrunch from 2006, he claims that the average age for smartphone use is below 10 years old, which I think is kind of a problem. I don't know about you guys, but when I was 10 years old, I was outside running around, riding bikes with my friends, not staring at a new tablet. But this will affect their ability to communicate face-to-face as they get older. According to research found on the Pew Research Center, teens send over 100 text messages a day, and more than half of those teens use texting to communicate daily with friends, versus only 33% of people actually talk to people face-to-face, which I think is a problem. And all of us are part of the same problem, because probably after this break here in a few minutes, the majority of us will sit here on our phones instead of actually talking with each other. And I'm guilty of it as well. This problem exceeds into the workplace as well, because as people are sitting there working throughout their day, and if they come up with an idea where they want to present to their boss, they don't walk down the hall and talk to them, they simply send an email. The problem with emails and texting is that you only get part of the information across that you're trying to. Because with communication, 10% of communicating is words, 40% is tone, and 50% is body language. So when you send an email or a text, that person's only getting 10% of what you're trying to convey to them. If you look at this chart right here by Jay Ulsterholm, he's the CEO of ODM Group. ODM is an intercommunications group that specifically works with large companies like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and companies like that help bridge the gap of communication between the upper management and the rest of the employees. So he's the one that came up with these percentages of communication, and he did all the research on his own to help his company be more effective in the workplace. So another huge benefit of face-to-face communication is it's a lot quicker. A lot of times, if you try to write a really long email or a really long text, that can take you 5-10 minutes sometimes. You have to proofread it. It's a long process. Well, face-to-face communication takes a lot quicker to convey your message, and you get all the meaning behind it. Look at it this way. So if we were to have like a small dirt path right here, and we were, let's say it's up in the mountains, and you're hiking along the dirt path, it's only wide enough for one person, and let's say a big rig were to try to drive down that path. It's simply not going to fit. It's going to hit trees, it's going to fall apart, maybe a couple pieces roll along the path, but that's about it. But let's say you have a huge 8-lane superhighway in Seattle or something like that, and that big rig's going down the highway. It's going to have no problem getting down the highway, obviously. There'll be more cars, there'll be more trucks, and you're getting a lot more, look at it as if you're getting a lot more information across faster. So instead of it getting stuck and only getting partway through, that wide lane highway is kind of it's like an expressway for your information, if you were to look at it that way. It also seems that older professionals understand the benefits of face-to-face communication. An article on Forbes by Mina Chang from 2015 claims that in Forbes' survey, they spoke to 760 business executives. 84% of those executives prefer face-to-face communication over text or email. Out of those 85%, they said that their reason behind it was that it builds stronger relationships, it helps you grow as a leader, and it also helps with your engagement from person to person. So now that everyone is aware of the problem that is currently at hand, I'd like to look into how we can solve this problem as a group. So as I was in our modern era, we're not just going to be able to cut technology out of our daily lives. It's not going to happen. It's too embedded in our lives where we can simply cut it out. So I think a more realistic goal for us is to try to bridge the gap between technology and face-to-face communication. And when I say bridge that gap, I don't mean just simply FaceTiming each other more often. I actually mean actually talking to someone face-to-face. As I was doing some research, I stumbled across a very interesting article written by a high school professor or teacher named Paul Barnwell, which he published on the Atlantic in 2014, where he explained how he was a teacher that had a problem with all of his students constantly looking at their phones. So through that, he chose to eliminate his online assignments, because at the end of the day, we have a lot of classes where instead of having discussions in class, we simply go online and we comment on each other's essays or have online discussion groups. So he thinks, and I agree with him, that on a daily basis, we're always bouncing each other's ideas between each other off our phone screens. We're not actually talking to each other. So the fact that we have class assignments that bridge off of our addictive use to our phones, which, by the way, 50% of teens feel that they are addicted to their mobile devices. So instead of bouncing those ideas off screens like we do off our phones, I think it would be a good idea, instead of doing that, if we had face-to-face discussions. So I'd like to challenge all of you guys that through your future classes, if a teacher promotes you guys to do an online discussion group, raise your hand. Throw out the idea to actually have an in-person discussion that can help with all of our face-to-face communication skills. Even things like catching up with a friend. If the friend texts you and say, "Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, let's catch up," offer to go get coffee with them, or you can actually sit down in face-to-face and communicate with them instead of texting like everyone does on a daily basis. I think it's really important for us to also reach out to the younger generation, because they're our future. And if they're having a problem with being glued to their phones at a young age, they're not going to be able to communicate when they're older. So if you have a younger sibling or a younger cousin or anything like that, and you see them glued to their phone, try to have a conversation with them instead of just letting them sit on their phone. If you're out to dinner with them and they're playing games, don't put their phone down, try to have a conversation. I think all of these will help our generation put down our phones and continue to grow with our communication skills. So lastly, I think a change needs to be made, and here's why. Our current situation isn't really working well. It may be hard for us to all realize it, but at the end of the day, if we're all constantly on our phones, when we all go try to get jobs, our interviews aren't going to be through a phone screen. It's not going to be through an email. You're going to have to sit down in front of someone and actually communicate with them. And that's a really important thing, is we're getting older and graduating college in a couple of years. And just based on that, I think it's a huge issue that we have currently. A. Agrawal wrote an article on Forbes in 2017 where he talked about, as kids are getting older, they have a lack of interviewing skills, which is branching off what I just talked about. They also have a lack of ability of problem solving on their feet, because they're used to doing it all through their phones. So when they're actually face-to-face with someone, they struggle with being able to problem solve. It's hard for them to address a room of people, as well as they just struggle with overall communication. Another thing that I think will benefit everyone is that as we all increase our communication skills, when it comes to time to present an idea to like an upper management or your boss, being actually able to go in and talk to them face-to-face will allow you can express your enthusiasm to them, and it'll help them understand your idea more thoroughly, because sometimes on paper things can cross a little boring. And so if you can talk to them in person, it'll overall help your likelihood of getting that promotion or having them accept your idea. So again, I'd like to challenge everyone. I'd like to challenge all of you to make a conscious effort in our future and the younger generation's future, and be willing to go out on a limb and try to promote face-to-face communication, because the lack of face-to-face communication is causing people unable to carry conversations. But again, lucky for all of us, if we all reach out and try to promote face-to-face communication, I think we can get rid of this problem and make our world a better place. So again, one last time, I'd like to ask all of you to take action in this problem. Thank you.